at the Stadium Alley. It's absolutely brilliant. Now, whether that's because Madrid are off it or because we have just been meticulous in every period of the game, but that's as good as I've seen it ever for me.
Well, you can't speak more highly than that. The best half Andy Morrison's ever seen. If City can get maybe 80% as good in the second half, they'll be on their way to Istanbul. But Real Madrid had 2 or 3 good moments, hit the bar, and that's always the danger. But at half-time, it's City 2, Real Madrid 0. Well, let's go back to the studio and join Kel.
And breathe. Welcome back to Matchday Live with myself, Cel Spellman, Nedum, we've got Ellie, Roebuck from our women's team, and David James. Half-time, Manchester City 2, Real Madrid 0. We can but dream. 3-1 on aggregate. Ellie, I'm going to come to you first. Give us your thoughts.
Dream first half. I mean, we ran all over them, really. The intensity, the aggression. Real Madrid don't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, David, Andy Morrison was saying there in commentary, which you can get on the City app, by the way. How much of it is it that City have been so good and they haven't allowed Real Madrid to play, or have Real Madrid not turned up? Which one is it?
Well, I think if you look at the first 20 minutes, compare it to last week, it's almost identical in the sense that City had all their chances, so most of their chances in that first 20 minutes. Difference this time round, obviously, is Bernardo Silva has then gone on to score. I think we were talking about it, weren't we? The Real Madrid didn't look phased at 1-0 down. Then all of a sudden it's continuation, 2-0. Now they look, well, I said to you tonight, there's one man you've got to watch out for, Modric. And then he made the gesture, was we're under pressure here.
Yeah.
I think this is more to do with City just being very well organised. Obviously, tactically and skill-wise, much better than Real Madrid. And as Ellie said, they're just struggling to work a way, to find a way to get out of it, first of all. And then, I mean, it was a tremendous shot by Kroos, but it's a long-range shot. Edison doesn't mind them. In fact, Nedum said he got a touch.
He did get a touch, yeah. So, shout out to all the goalkeepers out there, yeah. I'm surrounded by them, yeah.
Off that, some of the I mean, I think I remember, as you say, 0-0 or 1-0, they were happy. But, I mean, even after, I think, it was 16 or 15 minutes, they'd only completed 13 passes. Yeah. We got over 70% possession. This now, at this result, is kind of exactly what we're used to seeing with City. Are you surprised to see them doing it against this Real Madrid team and with such accomplishment, I guess?
I'm not surprised to see City playing well at home with the players that they have, but I'm more surprised by Real Madrid's approach as such, because say the 70% possession that City have, like I think even for a game where Real Madrid will say that they'll let the opposition have the ball, that still feels like it's too much. If it's in the 60s or something, you've had some sort of say in the game and you've moved the ball as well. But a lot of the possession that they've had has been when Courtois has rolled it around the back before then eventually going long. And I think what I would say as well, like you can be out of possession and control the game, but today Madrid are just out of possession, not controlling anything. And there are so many spaces that City have been able to find. City are looking better on their turnovers when you thought perhaps Madrid would be better at that. And it's, from a City perspective, that's one of the best 45 minutes worth of football against the top side that I've seen. But as we all know, it's half a job because there's still another 45 to come. And you can sense, even within this room, and I'm sure people at home as well, if Madrid score, even though City are a great side, you'll still feel that sense of anxiety because you know that they are capable of coming back. So I think they need to try and go out again and try and match the performance, but I think it'll be harder because I don't think Madrid can play as badly again in that second half. Absolutely.
Let's get into some of the key moments of that half then. Before we get to the goals, we're used to seeing him score. Haaland had 2 chances. The first one, Ellie, I mean, we were thinking initially Courtois done well to save it, but I think that first one, Haaland probably would have wanted to do a bit better with that ball in.
Yeah, we were saying that we didn't know if he'd kind of got over the ball and he didn't make as clean and powerful contact as he probably would have liked, but anywhere else in the goal, either side, it's a cert. But when you've got Bernardo putting him away, then hopefully he's off the hook a little bit.
Yeah, definitely did. There was that second one as well. I mean, that was in the 12th minute. 8 minutes later, it was a corner, and it was a lovely worked routine. And I mean, then that is the world-class keeper that Courtois is, isn't it?
Yeah, I think with the first one, Haaland probably doesn't see this might sound nuts to some people. He probably didn't see the cross. All he saw was the ball coming over and anticipated it being quite fast and jumped high and ended up heading it down. So I don't think it's his fault because he didn't get the whole information. But the second one, I mean, we think it's in.
Yeah.
And then Courtois stretches out his gadget arm, tips it around, and even then it looks like it's going in. I mean, that is, if there's a perfect save, Ellie, you know what it's like, the one that just goes close to the post.
You hear it, by the way.
You watched it the whole way.
It's getting very, very weird. Let's let them talk about it.
Yeah, but there's
I know what you mean.
When people say the players should score, then when you've got goalkeepers of Courtois' quality, any other goalkeeper, you would imagine that goes in.
Yeah.
He's going the wrong way. He's had to set his feet and then get the push off and literally fingertips. I mean, that's how good the save was. So Haaland should really be on the score sheet, but for world-class goalkeeping by one of the best goalkeepers in the world.
And Ellie, we have to say, and you know, there was that moment. I think I said to you, was like, gosh, this is what he was like in that final against Liverpool. But he has been consistently one of the world's best keepers, and it's not easy to get the ball past him.
No, he's incredible. I think just the presence he has within the goals. I mean, the goal looks tiny when he's in it, so that helps.
Yeah.
But I was thinking it's going to be one of them games where Courtois maybe gets man of the match and they go down the other end and nick one. But luckily we have the 2 goals. But yeah, that save was outrageous.
World class.
Yeah.
But there was one man who could put the ball past him, and it was that man Bernardo Silva, who's been like a terrier in that first half everywhere. Talk us through that first goal. It was a beautifully worked goal.
Yeah, he's class. I think the fact that, you know, for himself and a few other players, they can find space really well in that final third, and he put himself in a great spot. And I think it was Kevin De Bruyne that played in the past.
Yeah.
Splits the whole Real Madrid sort of defence, which overall, you know, they weren't playing well, but they were at least putting the bodies in the right sorts of spots. And before you know it, he's lined up kind of one-on-one with Courtois. And I suppose at that point, it doesn't matter how big the goalkeeper is, from that close, like, I think Courtois thought he was probably going to go to his right. And most people probably would, but Bernardo, with his little snake hips, decided to send it the other way. And this studio went pretty well, didn't it?
Yes, it went just slightly.
Slightly,
just
yeah.
slightly.
Nothing too heavy.
It simmered over a little bit,
Just
didn't
from
it?
a couple of us.
It did.
Yeah. A couple of people lost the plot, yeah.
The 1-0, we obviously know would have taken that, and then Real Madrid kind of had a little spell. There was the Walker moment with Vinicius where he kind of looked like Vinicius was maybe in. Walker matched him for his pace, and we saw that's what Walker can do.
Yeah, definitely. He matched the speed, and we were saying maybe he took a little bit of a bigger touch, Vinicius, but yeah, he recovered really well, and that's Kyle Walker at his best.
Absolutely, the defence have been great when tested, not much. Then up to the other end of the pitch, after that effort from Cruz, which you mentioned at the start of this show, Bernardo comes down 2 minutes later, and a beautifully placed header, David.
Yeah, I think they said it in commentary so well. I mean, the placement of the header. You know, you've got defenders on the line, and the calmness of the control to be able to put it high enough that I think it was Alaba on the line in the end. Didn't make a jump for it. And yeah, I think there was a little bit more noise. I'm not sure if there's more noise in this studio than there was actually in the stadium because of you. But yeah, but yeah, I mean, it was 2-0 and a thoroughly deserved 2-0. I mean, this isn't a kind of, Man City have been under pressure at all. This is a superb half-time scoreline with Bernardo Silva. We talk about players stepping up. Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, I think Pep's also mentioned that's one of his greatest qualities in the big moments, and especially when they maybe go down as well. That's when Bernardo steps up. There was a couple of moments we mentioned there. There was a point where Modric almost was looking a bit exasperated. There was a point where Vinicius was fuming, trying to get his team up the pitch. So, do you think there's going to be a tactical tweak? Are you surprised at how Madrid have set up, Nedum?
Not really, because that's the way that they tend to set up anyway. I'm surprised that they didn't try and do something a bit different earlier, but I think something will come in that second half, whether it's just a sort of group of people getting their heads together and saying we have to do better, because for them, they're 45 minutes away from being knocked out now. Like, they have to score 2 goals to be in with a chance. So I expect a better performance from them in that second half, but then it's just a question of, like, do they then decide to take more of a risk in trying to chase it? Because if they do, I think that plays into City's hands. But I think they will be better. And that frustration, it's understandable. Like, you come with a plan and then you're 2-0 down, but you're still sticking to the plan. Like, it's a weird spot to be in, because it's almost like, well, why are we still doing this? As people start asking questions. But then also, I must say, like, when attackers start telling defenders to get higher, I say to attackers, well, go and press someone there. I will come with you. But listen, you have to do something as well. Let's call it for what it is.
City are such a hard team to press as well, when the gaps are massive.
Yeah, you want me to? Yeah, okay, Vinicius, thank you, yeah, no problem, yeah. Cheers for your help. Nonsense, honestly.
Tell you what, Vinicius won't be telling you a thing anytime soon. I wouldn't fancy it anyway.
Oh, mate. This is real trauma with that. I hate that. When you've been, like, the back line for Real Madrid Madrid have been defending for 45 minutes straight. You've got a forward up front who can take the ball up and sort of give you a bit of a respite. He did not give you respite for 45 minutes, but he points at you and says, the problem is you need to come up there. All right, come on. I think they'll be better second half anyway.
Yes.
And I think City will understand that. I think Guardiola's managed enough games, the players have played enough big games to know that. And it's just a case of can they now be clinical when they need to be in defence and in attack, because maybe one more goal kills the whole tie. And if they can get that, then yeah, they'll be in a great spot.
They'll be in a great spot, and as we know as well, it's Carlo Ancelotti that is in that opposition changing room, and we know obviously he'll have some tactical tweaks up his sleeve, no doubt. In the City changing room, though, Ellie, I mean, you've been there as well in you know, semi-finals, cup competition. What do you think the atmosphere will be there in the City changing room?
It's a tough one, really, isn't it? Because you don't want to go in and give it the whole confidence and we've got this. So I think, I mean, I can imagine it's going to be pretty relaxed. But it's interesting to probably hear what Pep has to say at half-time, because do you go in there, they don't really need much more. They don't need to do much more. It's just carry on doing the same things, but also knowing that Real Madrid are going to have to do something different. So I think it's probably just figuring out what that's going to be and then just implementing whatever they've done in the first half.
Could I stay
really.
with a question?
Yeah.
So you've been a manager, been a coach, and when you've got an idea of the message you want to give to your team, if you come into the dressing room and you hear the players saying it anyway, do you still say it?
Well, I was just thinking when Ellie was talking, it depends what that message is. Because if the message is, right, this is what we'll do and we'll score goals, or do you then just say, well, keep doing that in this game because that's what we set out to do? And because this is a 38th game now in a row at home that they've scored in, they were always going to expect to score goals. I don't think scoring was a surprise, but they continue doing it and they scored a second. So in that sense, just do what you're doing. And I don't like often the phrase, continue doing it, because if they weren't sure what they were doing, but what they seem to be doing is organised, well executed, and another 45 minutes of that, then you would expect Real Madrid may get a shot. Yeah. And a 2-0 goal line, scoreline is adequate because Man City are going to control this. What is interesting, I think we've all been there, you can go in there and all of a sudden it's like, wow, aren't we good or aren't they bad? That's the most dangerous.
Yes, yeah.
That's when you overestimate your performance or underestimate their performance at the second half. Things can turn.
I think this is probably, sorry to jump in.
Not at all.
But this is probably the time where, even though all the talk was about revenge and so on and so forth, I think this is a time where there are enough bodies in that dressing room who remember what happened a year ago.
Yes.
To understand that when you go out there against them now, they're going to try and find something.
Yeah.
And this game isn't over until the final whistle goes. And if you decide to slacken off just a little bit, you will be punished. And I think that trauma from last year will dictate how they go and play this second half now.
There you go.
There you are. Look,
you know, John Stone's talking about, no, don't play that. But I mean, this is it. They're talking about how they're going to play, and I love that.
And I love seeing Diaz.
Rather than pats on the back.
Yeah, to be fair, that's the thing. It's class when you've got a bunch of players who know what they need to do in the second half. Like, that's brilliant. Instead of like little splinter groups off to the side and people saying, what's he doing? What are they doing? And so on. Like, they're in it together and they all want to achieve the same goal. And I think they know how to do it as well.
There we go, and they're ready. We think we saw Nathan Ake there as well. Right, there he is there with the boys together. I am going to have to go because you really will see the inner City fan come out of me. So remember, you can get full commentary with Alison Mann and Andy Morrison on the City app, and also at midnight is when you're going to get full highlights to this scintillating game we've got here. Only halfway though. Manchester City 2, Real Madrid 0, 3-1 aggregate, 45 minutes to play. And 45 minutes separates us from a Champions League final in Istanbul. We'll be back at full time, so come join us. Keep sending them good vibes, those good energies towards the Etihad. Come on, City.
Well, welcome back to the Etihad Stadium. I can't remember this